Hello, we're here for More Happier, a podcast where we get more happier. Hey, Elizabeth.
Hi, Gretch.
Hey, so today we're going to talk about the happiness of Suitcase and dogs. We're going to get into it.
Gretch, how's Montana? Tell me that before we start.
Oh, Montana is great. I'm very far away from New York City, about an hour outside of Livingston, Montana. It is very hot in the day. It is cool in the night. There are a lot of bugs. A bear is around. We haven't seen a bear, but there's a bear around. The fishing is good. So everybody's having a great, great time. Oh, and horse riding too.
So have you gotten a lot of mosquito bites? Because I've gotten a lot in my backyard in Encino where we're not even supposed to have mosquitoes.
You know, the one who really suffers from it is Eliza. And I used to think maybe it was just her imagination that she got bit more. But then her pediatrician said like, oh no, this is a thing. And then I've read articles subsequently where it has to do with your body chemistry. Certain people really do have like this sweet blood that this brings the mosquitoes to them. So, I mean, we're all in the habit of slathering ourselves with bug spray and doing all that to try to keep them at bay. But yeah, and they always pick the weirdest place. Like I have this one on my wrist in this like very odd spot, but it hasn't been terrible. I've had worse.
Good. Okay, Gretch, tell me what is something that is making you more happier this week, aside from being in Montana?
This is in the category of like, sometimes we don't appreciate what we have until we lose it, or until we deprive ourselves of it. So I went on this amazing milestone trip with Eleanor to Paris, which was fantastic. And, there'd been all this upheaval in travel. And the way it affected us, our flights were fine, but my bag got left behind for like more than a week. And then it arrived at 1:15 in the morning. So it was all very dramatic. But the thing that's nice is now I have such appreciation. I'm like, oh, my favorite running shoes, or, oh, I have all of my products. Because, I had stuff to get by. It wasn't a big deal. So I didn't have my bag, but I was at home. It's not like not having your bag when you're at your destination. So it was fine. But it just made me so aware of how much I appreciated all my most common, ordinary things. Because, of course, that's what was in my suitcase. It was all the stuff that I use most often. So I'm very happy to have it all back with me.
Good. I happened to be reading one of your travel hack blogs the other day, and I noticed in there one of your hacks was if you really need something, put it in your carry-on bag. Like I always have both kinds of insulin in my carry-on bag because that's something I can't be without. So anyway, I was thinking about your lost bag for 8 days when I read that post. So I'm glad you got it back. I don't know where it was for 8 days.
Well, now I make sure to have contact lenses in my bag because I used to sort of do that sporadically. And now I really learned my lesson because it didn't matter since I was at home. But if I'd been away, I would have really, really been in a pinch because that's not something you could just, like insulin, it's not something you can just run out and get. So Elizabeth, what's making you happier?
Well, Gretchen, I have to say, speaking of reading your travel hacks the other day, something that has been making me happier lately is your newsletter, your 5 Things Making Me Happier newsletter. I've really been paying attention to it lately.
Oh, that's so nice to hear.
Yeah, well, I've really been paying attention to it because I've just had more time this summer. And I've been loving it because you have all these interesting things in there. And it's funny because I talk to you so much. Like, I wouldn't think there could be anything I don't know about what you're doing, what you're reading, what you're seeing. I mean, I feel I know it all. And then I look at this newsletter and I'm like, Gretchen has this whole other life I know nothing about. And you have all these just fun little things, whether it's like a picture of a raccoon in Central Park, or you talked about that Met exhibit, the Chroma Met exhibit, which I think is fascinating. And you had pictures of it, which I really had wanted to see. And things about your trip to Paris with Eleanor. It's very informative. And it kind of goes from the very small to the very big, which I know is you like to do. And I love it. So I'm really enjoying that.
Oh, well, that makes me so happy. Yeah, I put a lot of effort into those to try to like make them really juicy. So that's so great to hear because Elizabeth, I think if anybody would be like not reading them, it would be like you and Jamie. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, I gave at the office.
Yeah. No, they're really a treat, like a little treat. So thank you for those. Of course, I also get your moment of happiness every day, your quotes. But I
Right.
also
Yep.
like that in the 5 Things newsletter, you have a quote from yourself, which I
Right.
like.
Well, that's my long-term book of aphorisms. So that's the way I'm testing out my aphorisms. So
Ah,
yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Oh, of course.
Well, so listen, after that lovely sisterly praise, gold star, thank you. I love those gold stars. I'll tell people how they can get it if they want. Go to happiercast.com/preferences, and that gives you all the newsletters. So there's the 5 Things Making Me Happier newsletter. There's the Moment of Happiness, which is just the quotation from some great work of literature. If you want the podcast show notes, a lot of people like to get the show notes by email instead of having to go and look up the images and the links and everything we talk about. You could just get those in your inbox, and there are other ones, tips and hacks. I got several different kinds of newsletters now. I do love it. Turns out I love a newsletter. This is something I didn't know about myself 5 years ago. So it's all there at happiercast.com/resources. Or as always, I will put it in the show notes. Love to put stuff in show notes.
Okay, Gretch, coming up, there's something I've been meaning to tell you. But first, this break.
Elizabeth, I know there's something you've been meaning to tell me.
Yes. Okay, Gretchen, this is, for me, huge. It may not sound huge to listeners, but for me, it is so big. So Adam and I went to pick up Jack at camp, which is about 5 hours north of where we are. So we stay over. So we drove up on a Friday, picked him up Saturday morning. And what I've been meaning to tell you is that we took Daisy and Nacho, our 2 corgis, with us.
Wow, that is bold. And had they ever been on a car trip before?
No. I mean, I think the longest they'd been in a car was maybe like 45 minutes.
Okay.
So Adam brought this up because I'm like, we have to figure out what we're doing with the dogs. And he goes, actually, I thought we could take them with us. And I just said, no. I said, absolutely not. That will not go well. They'll be barking. We have a ton of stuff for Jack, like his trunk and his bag. And we don't know if they can travel and on and on. And I just said, we can't do it. I mean, and I was so adamant that Adam was like, okay, I guess we're not bringing them. That was at night. I went to sleep and I woke up in the morning, and true story, I was like, choose the bigger life. Your phrase that you say, which I think you have like on a pouch that you can buy, which I have.
Yes. I'll post a link.
Yes, I was like, choose the bigger life. And I was like, just do it. It may not seem like a big deal, but I was just like, I've got to do this. It's an adventure. Think of it as an adventure and doing something new. It's one night. So it really is the perfect experiment because it's only one night. So I told Adam, yes, I will do it. He was thrilled. Now, of course, with such a to-do, it's like having an infant. It requires so much extra stuff.
Yeah. Well, and you were staying there overnight. So it was fine to have dogs where you were staying? How'd that work?
So I had to book a place where we could take dogs. Of course, there was a charge for that. But anyway, yeah, we booked a place near Jack's camp, the Shaver Lake Hotel. It had a little cabin. And we had to get all this stuff, like something for the back seat. We got extra toys and chews and all this stuff just in case we needed it. Packed up their food, all extra water, so much stuff.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, they did great. And it was so much more fun to have them. So they did great. They didn't they didn't throw up in the car or anything. And we got to this hotel, which is like, it's a place where people come to like fish. So, it's cabins and that kind of environment. Yep. And the dogs did not bark in the cabin at all. And it was like a miracle.
That is, because they bark. They do bark.
They bark, as we sometimes hear on this podcast. They bark, but they didn't bark. They were just so in love with being somewhere new. And then what was great is we didn't tell Jack in our emails to him that we were bringing the dogs. So that was a great surprise for him. And then, and I'm sorry to be one of these people talking about my dogs, but the next day we had them out at a cafe, after we picked up Jack and had breakfast, and they didn't bark at anybody. So it was just this great thing. And again, and I know I keep saying this, I am just so not the type of person who I ever
Right.
thought would have dogs, much less travel with dogs. And it's like this unfolding thing of discovering like my new identity and new things that I like. And it just, and I've said this, it makes me feel so much more like hopeful and more happy about life in general. And a reminder to choose the bigger life. You know, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes it does.
Well, and I think this is a great example of how choose the bigger life is something that only a person can know for himself or herself. Like, because for another person, choose the bigger life is if you don't have the dogs, you can have adventure and you could go off, you could suddenly stay at this other place
True.
or go to this little town or go to this museum that you spot on the side of the road or whatever. Because you could have more adventure, a different kind of adventure without the dogs. But for you, the bigger life is with the dogs. And so only you can know what that's why I think it's such a great question, because it doesn't
Yes.
tell you which way to go. You only can figure it out by looking within. And this is a great example.
Right.
It's a great example. Oh, how fun. And I bet it was really fun for Jack. And I bet Adam was surprised when you woke up and you're like, huge change of mind. I mean, it's just impressive that gold star for changing your mind.
Yes.
That alone is hard enough.
I'm still shocked by it. I don't know what came over me. I guess having my sister, the happiness bully, like in my subconscious, paid off, Gretch. So anyway, your saying resonated and I went with it and it did make me happy. So anyway, I'd been meaning to tell you about that.
Great.
Okay, Gretch. So what is our spotlight on a tool this week?
Okay, so a friend of mine told me about this app, the Merlin Bird ID Map, Merlin. And she thought of me because, I'm working on this book about the five senses. So I'm constantly talking to everybody about the five senses. And so she knew that I was doing a lot of listening and become very much more attuned to sound generally. And she's like, wow, the thing that's for my family, the thing that is we're really excited about sort of in the sound area of life is this Merlin app, because for a month they went and rented a place and everybody worked remotely and the kids did, whatever, one of these things like, from New York City to California. And so there's all these new birds around, and this Merlin bird app makes it really easy. You just hold it up and it will identify the bird and tell you stuff about the bird just from the bird song, which is really fun. I don't know anything about birds, and it always seemed really confusing to me, like how you would do that. This makes it very easy. I think you can also use photographs. I haven't done that yet. It's a little trickier to take a good photo of a bird. But yeah, this is a free instant bird identification guide done by Cornell Labs, and it's the Merlin Bird ID app for any budding sound or bird enthusiasts.
Oh, how fun. That's a nice summer activity.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, coming up, we have some quality screen time, but first, this break.
Okay, quality screen time. Elizabeth, I know that you watched something on a screen that was making you happier. Tell me about it.
Yes. So Gretchen, something making me so happy on the screen is all of these viral videos of Joni Mitchell at the Newport Folk Festival. She sang like 12 songs. Have you seen any of these?
No, I've seen references to it in my feed, but I haven't actually watched it. What exactly is it? Why are people so excited about it?
Well, first of all, I will say that Joni Mitchell is like 78. She had a really bad stroke. They didn't know she would ever perform again. And it's her first performance in years. And it was a surprise at the folk festival. Go watch one of the videos. There's a bunch of them. And then we can talk about it because it'll be much easier if you have seen it as well.
Okay. Hang on, I'm going to go watch a video. Oh my gosh, that was so touching. So explain more about what was going on.
What did you watch?
I watched Both Sides Now.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that was one of the great ones. Okay, so you've seen it, so you'll know what I'm talking about. So what was great is Brandi Carlile was kind of running this. And at first, Joni Mitchell, they helped her on stage and she was sitting down. And at first, she wasn't completely singing in the song. She would sort of sing a few lines here and there. But then she seemed to just warm up and get all this energy from the crowd.
Yeah.
And she ended up really singing. And her voice is like a different than it was. It's lower, but it's still great. Like Both Sides Now, for instance, she sang a lot of, and it was so moving to watch. I mean, I was crying. I told Sarah to watch it. She was crying. On the screen, you can see Winona Judd is sitting behind her. She's crying. It's just so powerful and moving. And then what's amazing about it is by the end of the set, Joni Mitchell ended up singing completely on her own Summertime, which is, one of the all-time great songs.
Which is one of my all-time favorite songs. I used to beg Eliza to sing Summertime to me. It's such I cannot wait to go listen to that.
It's so good. And then also, she had lost the ability to play guitar completely. She retaught herself to play guitar, and she played guitar for the crowd. So it was really one of the most inspiring, delightful, moving things I've ever seen. And I just feel like everyone just came together to say, oh my God, we love Joni Mitchell. And I don't know if she realized how loved she is, but I had happened upon this right when it happened before it was viral. So I didn't even know what I was getting into when I looked at it. And so I think that made it even better because it was just this huge surprise. So if anyone who hasn't seen it, I really if you want to pick me up, you want to feel inspired or motivated, just Google Joni Mitchell Newport Folk Festival and you'll find it. And then side note, Paul Simon sang the day before, which I also watched, which I also loved. So I really wish I had been at that folk festival. I can tell you that much.
Excellent. Well, I can't wait to go watch a bunch of them. I just saw the one, but now I can't wait to see a lot. Okay, excellent. That's wonderful. A great way that screens can bring happiness.
Yes. Okay, Gretchen, what is our quotation today?
Okay, this comes from G.K. Chesterton's 12 Types. There are no chains of houses. There are no crowds of men. The colossal diagram of streets and houses is an illusion, the opium dream of a speculative builder. Each of these men is supremely solitary and supremely important to himself. Each of these houses stands in the center of the world. There is no single house of all those millions which has not seemed to someone at some time the heart of all things and the end of travel.
That's great. It reminds me, sometimes I'm just standing in line and I look at a random person and think their world is just as complex and vivid as mine. Doesn't seem like it to me, but to them, it's every bit as complex.
It's so true. Phyllis, are you feeling more happier or just happier?
I am feeling more happier, Gretchen. Thank you to Chuck. And get in touch. Gretchen's on Twitter at Gretchen Rubin, and I'm at Elizabeth Kraft. Our email address is podcast@GretchenRubin.com. And for everything related to this episode, links, photos, and more, go to happiercast.com. Bye, Gretch.
Bye, Elizabeth. The best time to start a happiness project is 20 years ago. The second best time is now.
Gretch, speaking of me worrying about Nacho and Daisy barking, did you just hear them right now barking?
In fact, I did hear them barking.
Yes. So not as well behaved as they were at the cabin, unfortunately.
Well, it's part of the music of life for you now.
No, sirens for you and barking corgis for me. Yeah. And jackhammers for you as well.
Yeah. Thank you for watching the podcast here on YouTube. If you enjoyed the show, please do subscribe right below the video. It really helps other people discover the show. From the Onward Project.